You know on the beat every time, no. I would like to personally welcome you to Man Hour After Dark. Say that thing. While I bring you the host, Mike, Buck, and Cone. You know who's coming to the stage. Sports talk than what you about to hear right here. I second that.
Go. You know that it's us when we talking about sports. Giving you facts on the field to the core. Tune in, we need the support. 1 hour too short, then listen some more. On all your stations, not dropping no music. Starts like Adidas, but Nike just do it. Down 4 in the 4th, we go for the win. Michael 2 seconds, we taking it in. Buck, Mike, and Combs, you know what's going on. Man, now we're after dark, no LA, we the big spark. No 4th and inches won't cut you short. Got the best talking, it's all sports. Buzzing more than buzzer beaters. We coming live, all 3 speakers go.
And what is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buckasher here with the Man Hour. If you be most inclined tonight, head over to manhourradio.com and check out the merchandise page, and of course, check out the blog section as well. Also, if you are new here, consider subscribing to the YouTube channel and, of course, liking the Facebook page as well. You can find us all on Belly Up Sports, Unhinged Radio, 313 The Flash, and, of course, Big X Sports Radio every Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. is when we're on Big X Sports Radio. But, guys, we got big things happening over here at the Man Hour. We're giving away a trip to Vegas. And how do you win a trip to Vegas, you ask? All you gotta do is head over to youtube.com/manhour, click on that join button, and become a member for $5.99 a month over there on the old YouTube page. So if you are a part of that, you get free entry into the Vegas trip, and you can get additional entries by becoming a top chatter or a shop sharer in the week as well. So simply share the YouTube page, share the Facebook page, comment and like, and get some points, and you get more additional entries into the Vegas trip. But before we get too carried away into the show, we got to welcome the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Brandon BC Combs at manhour_Combs on the old Twitter machine. Combsy, what's up, brother?
What is going on, Michael Buckheiser? What is going on, Man Hour Nation, Big X Radio, Belly Up Sports, all the people eating tea and crumpets in the UK? What is going on, man? It has been a great weekend. It's been a long weekend, and there's been a lot of college football, man. I've been hyped all weekend long.
Yeah, I mean, college football has finally taken over here, and week 1 of the college season is almost wrapped up. We'll be talking about that here in about 90 minutes here on the Man Hour. But we have to talk about the greatest thing that's happening right now, like at least in my world, and your world now, since the Cubs are officially out of the playoff race 100%. I saw that thing today that they have officially been eliminated from the playoffs, so sorry to hear that, Combsy. But
and they're on a 7-game winning streak.
Yeah, which is crazy, isn't it? But let's go ahead and talk about week 1 of the NFL season. So week 1 of the NFL season, it's coming this Thursday, guys. We are literally 4 days away till the kickoff of the NFL season. And we've been hyping up the Tampa Bay, not we, but people in general have been hyping up the Tampa Bay Buccaneers of like how they returned all 22 starters, how they done this, how they done that, Tom Brady being the GOAT, yada, yada, yada. So Combs, we got to ask the question here right now. Will the Bucs live up to the hype in 2021 NFL season?
Yes. I mean, there's no reason to ever doubt the GOAT. There's no reason to ever doubt Tom Brady. Look, and I say it time and time and time again, until this guy is off of the face of the earth, until he dies, he's the greatest quarterback in the NFL. And I'm never betting against him, ever. Never. They could start the season 0-8, and I'm gonna bet that they finish 9-0 and they sneak in as a wild card and they win the Super Bowl because he's Tom Brady, and he just always finds a way. So, yeah, I mean, they can absolutely live up to the hype. I think the only thing that really holds them back could possibly be a ton of injuries, like we saw with the San Francisco 49ers last year, a team that is really good and really talented, but just got decimated by injuries. And other than that, I mean, I don't see any reason why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers aren't at least one of the final 4 teams standing at the end of the year, if not one of the final 2.
Yes. So let me ask you this question. You brought up that evil I word of injury. What injury can the Tampa Bay Buccaneers not afford to have? Is it Tom Brady?
Brady.
So basically with Tom Brady is the key to the car, like he is the engine, he's the wheels, he is everything to this team.
I mean, if you lose Tom Brady, I mean, who's coming in? I mean, Kyle Trask. I mean, are you really going to hinge your season on a rookie who a lot of people believe could be a very good NFL quarterback? I believe he could be a very good NFL quarterback. I liked the draft pick of Kyle Trask. I you knew he needed 1 or 2 years to sit,
Right.
and sitting underneath Tom Brady, I mean, is just great, especially when you have no designs on taking over for him within the next 2 years. So if you lose Tom Brady, you're in trouble. The other one that I don't even know if it's just why. I mean, I would say probably Leonard Fournette would be a huge loss for them, but I think that they can make that up. I think the one person that they just can't lose and it would just devastate their season would be Tom Brady.
Yeah, and I think I would have to kind of compound on that because we saw the quote Tom Brady effect, the second part of the season when he basically said, "Hey, this is my team. Either you're going to ride with me or I'm getting you all fired." And that's kind of what happened. What they won like 8 games in a row, obviously they won more than that, but they obviously won the Super Bowl, and that's the ultimate goal here. So one of the key names there, Combs, as you brought up, was Leonard Fournette. Like obviously Leonard Fournette had a great 2021 playoff season, right? He definitely earned that playoff winning name. So this year, fast forward to the regular season of the 2021, can we maybe drop that playoff and just can Leonard Fournette be the workhorse running back that he was in the playoffs for all 17 games this year?
No, and I mean that's not what Leonard Fournette's ever been his entire career. Leonard Fournette is a guy who's going to go on a tear here and there. He's a lot like like your guy who you like to hate on a lot, but he's a lot like King Henry. He's going to have those games where he rushes for 150 to 200 yards and he's going to look amazing, and then he might have a couple of games where he only rushes for 60 or 70. But Leonard Fournette is he's in a great situation in Tampa Bay where they've got other running backs that can also carry the load, where he doesn't have to be an every down back.
Exactly.
And I think that helps him a ton, which is also why I think guys like, you look at King Henry, and I know you're not high at King Henry as a lot of people are. I mean, I think last year you had him at 7th coming into the league as your top 7th ranked running back heading into the season, which, we all gave you crap for him. We all thought was crazy, and his numbers proved you to be crazy. But I think eventually all of those touches are going to wear down on him at some point. Right now, he's entering his 7th year in the league. That puts him at maybe 55 in running back years.
Yeah.
I mean, so at some point that's going to wear on him, and he's not in a situation like Leonard Fournette is. Leonard Fournette gets, they've got Ronald Jones. They've got another good running back there. His name escapes me right now, but they've got at least 3 good running backs that they can lean on. And I think that helps all 3 of those running backs sustain their success for a little bit longer than some of those running backs who get leaned on every down.
Yeah. So I have to address some of the comments here. Suit Boss is loud and proud in the chat tonight over here at youtube.com/manhour. And he says that he had him below the Philly running back. Yes, I did, because I thought that Miles Sanders was going to not get hurt last year. So fun fact, last year I had, I believe it was all 4 NFC East quarterbacks in the top 5, or not quarterbacks, but running backs in the top 5. So just,
Supaw's been prevalent in that chat, man, and he keeps messaging me, telling me he's gonna eat you guys alive with some of your takes. I can't wait to listen to him come on the show and actually eat you guys alive, because some of your takes, I ain't gonna lie, I mean, I agree with him on some of them I do agree with you guys on, but like the King Henry one last year behind my, like, I don't know what you were thinking heading into last year. I really don't.
Eyes don't lie.
If you picked him to fall back this year, if you picked King Henry to fall back and maybe be a top 5, top 6 running back in the league, I could understand that because of what we just talked about.
Yeah.
What I had just mentioned, all of the numbers are eventually going to catch up to him. All of the carries are going to catch up to him. In the NFL, running backs don't sustain careers that long being depended on that much. People talk about, you look at guys like Adrian Peterson. People always say, "Oh, Adrian Peterson." Well, first of all, Adrian Peterson had like 2 or 3 years off because of injury and then suspension and stuff like that. And not only that, but he was never, after the first 3 or 4 years in Minnesota, he was never leaned on as that guy. He went to was it Washington and was a backup in Washington, and then when he went to who was he on this past year?
Detroit.
He was a backup there too, and then due to injury, he became kind of the guy there again. So Adrian Peterson has been able to sustain that because he's not been the guy that's been depended on every single down, every single year. Whereas King Henry, I could absolutely positively see him taking a small step back this year, because that guy's work ethic is still absolutely unreal.
Right.
So, I don't think he falls completely off the map, but I could see, a CMC and a Saquon Barkley and a couple of other guys having maybe a little bit better years than what you'll see out of King Henry this year.
Yeah, I will release my top 10s, running backs, quarterbacks, and receivers, this week, obviously before the season starts here. So we'll have some talking points here throughout the week. So
talking points or laughing points?
We will decide that when if King Henry cracks the top 10 this year of the running backs. So
if you don't have him in the top 10, if you don't have him in the top 10, I swear on all that is holy, I will fly down to Soup Boss's house and we will go live. I will go live with him from his house if you don't have King Henry in the top 10, because he's going to fly off the handle.
Yeah, so we will see. So I will release the running backs tomorrow, just since we're talking about it here. So I'll get those lists made up tonight and released tomorrow throughout the day over there on the Facebook page and Instagram page. But also, Soup Boss. First of all, Drew, what's up, Drew? I see you jumping in chat there. So how do you
with the super chat too?
How you as well? Yeah, Javier with the super chat. Thank you for that as well. Soup Boss says, if Tom Brady goes down, who do the Bucks go and get? Imagine them getting Nick Foles to replace Tom Brady if Tom Brady goes down.
At that point, if Tom Brady goes down and if it's after week 4, they could probably come to the Bears and get Andy Dalton too.
Well, so who would you rather have? Would you rather have Andy Dalton or Nick Foles to replace Tom Brady? Obviously this is all
rather have
hypothetical.
Neither of them. To be honest with you, at that point, you might as well just give the ball to Kyle Trask and see what that kid's got. Because Nick Foles is Nick Foles, and Andy Dalton are Andy Dalton. But there's a reason why, they're not starting. Well, Andy Dalton is, but he shouldn't be in this league this year, because they're just they are who they are at this point.
So. Depending on what kind of injury that Tom Brady sustains, I mean, he will still be in his ear. So I'm talking about Kyle.
Right.
Talking about Kyle Trask. He will still be in the meeting rooms. He will still be in his ear. I mean, that'd be a great thing.
Let me change my answer there. If Tom Brady gets injured, and my choices are Andy Dalton or Nick Foles, I want Tom Brady on one leg with both arms tied behind his back, before I want either one of those guys leading my football team.
Wow.
That's just not something that I want.
I would take Andy Dalton because he is a top 15 quarterback in the
and Gronk
in the league
too.
Oh, okay.
Michelle was in the room, so
okay.
I had to say that.
So Drew comes out and says Cam Newton would be a better pickup than Nick Foles.
Ooh.
Probably not, because Cam Newton can't throw. Well, actually, Cam Newton and Tom Brady can throw about the same distance, about 10 yards apiece. So,
stop it. Cam Newton, man, that's a tough one. Is Cam Newton a better pickup than Nick Foles? I don't know that one. I can't. And how sad is it that Cam Newton's come that far where you don't know if he's a better option than Nick Foles?
Well, Nick Foles is a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and Cam Newton isn't. So,
true.
True.
Cam Newton's a former MVP, and
true.
Nick Foles isn't.
Right. You're very, very, very statement there here. So because we are up against the first break here, so on the other side of the break, we are going to pick our NFC North picks this year. Obviously, yes, we picked them way back before the draft. What the Combs was that, like February or March when we made all those picks?
Yeah,
obviously way too early picks here, but we are going to solidify our picks. We're going to give you some few key games to watch, to circle on the old schedule. Look out for breakout players as well. But guys, if you haven't done so already, share this with a couple friends. And head out and check out 313 The Flash over there on the Facebook page, as we will be airing on there Monday through Friday every day at 10 a.m. East Coast time. So guys, we'll be right back after this short little commercial break. Alrighty, Combs, we are on breaks, good sir.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buckheist along with Brandon Combs and I. If you haven't done so already, head over to youtube.com/Man Hour and hit the join button. And as little as 99 cents a month, you can become a part of Man Hour Nation. You get merchandise discounts, you get behind the scenes footage, you get after hours footage as well. And then $2.99, you get access to the fantasy show with Tori Anderson, Mr. Wyatt Williams, once a week over there. $5.99 deal. You get all that plus a free entry into the Vegas trip we're giving away in April. Actually, we're giving away Super Bowl Sunday, right, Combs? That's when we decided when the drawing will.
Sunday.
So Super Bowl Sunday is when we'll be drawing for that Vegas trip. And then, of course, you get a t-shirt after 6 months of service. But then the $9.99 deal, you get all that, plus all the behind-the-scenes footage, all the after-hours footage, and you get a hoodie every party you are the Man Hour Nation. So breaking over news over here, Combs, Tyrod Taylor has been picked up by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and will be competing for the Week 1 starting job. So Tyrod Taylor is better than Tom Brady right now.
Stop giving fake news.
That is not fake news. Tyrod Taylor is better than Tom Brady going into the 21.
You shut your filthy mouth right now. That is like the blasphemy that comes out of your mouth sometimes.
All of it's true facts.
Come on, you don't even believe that.
Oh no, I don't think Tyrod Taylor is the best quarterback in Houston right now. To be honest, I think Mills looked better than Tyrod in the preseason. But,
yeah,
But
Yeah.
we will be talking about the South here on Wednesday. So as Suitbuck says, Buck, I will end you. Oh, wow. Shit just got real right there, didn't it?
That's
Man.
soup loss, baby.
Okay, so we are going to be breaking down the NFC North here, Combs, and obviously the NFL season is less than 4 days away, but the Bears and the NFC North teams don't play until Sunday. So we are going to start with your Chicago Bears, Combsy. Give me a few key games that you have circled on the schedule this year for the Chicago Bears.
This is a tough schedule, man. I don't really have any games circled on the schedule because this is going to be a brutal season for the Chicago Bears. If I had to circle a couple, I'm going to circle week 4 against the Detroit Lions at home because I believe that that's when Justin Fields will be taken over for Andy Dalton. And then I always circle the Green Bay Packers games just because, I don't care if we're, 2-14 on a season, as long as those 2 wins are against the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
Those would be the ones that I'd circle. This is going to be a tough schedule. It's going to be a down year for this entire division. I've only got one team over 500 in this division, and the Chicago Bears are not one of them. I do have the Chicago Bears at 8-9 this season.
So yes. Oh, sorry. As I dropped my paper, I was trying to write some notes there, and they're like, "You don't deserve to take notes, Bucks. You never take notes." You're absolutely right. I don't ever take notes.
When you take notes, do you ever read them back to yourself and realize that you stuttered while you were writing?
Yeah. So actually, like right here during the Week 13 game, it is like I wrote CAAARDEESSS. I'm not for sure what I was trying to say there, but the Week 13 game is the Arizona Cardinals. I think that is a game that we have circled on the calendar, or on the NFL season as a must-see game because the Arizona Cardinals are coming off a bye week, and the Chicago Bears are kind of in that trap week there because they play so they have a bye week, Week 10, Week 11 they play the Ravens. Week 12 they play the Lions. Week 13 they obviously play the Cards, and that Lions
game is
Packers and Bears. Yeah,
So
I mean, this is the part of the season where like they are looking forward to their division opponents more than out of division opponents. Like obviously, an Arizona Cardinals is a out of division opponent there, and so I actually had the Cardinals beating that game, going to Soldier Field and beating the Bears. So you had them going 8-9, Combs, right?
Yeah.
I actually had the Bears going 7-10 this season, actually. So give me a player that is going to have a breakout year for the Chicago Bears, though.
I mean, the obvious answer is Justin Fields. I think that once Justin Fields comes in for them, when he comes in for them, I have them at 0-3, and then I have them rattling off 3 straight wins against the Lions, going to Vegas and beating the Raiders, and then beating the Packers at home. Before finally they run into Tampa Bay and they lose one. But I have them winning 4 out of 5 in those next weeks. So, it's a brutal schedule. It really is. And they could possibly win more games than even I think that they're going to win. I mean, there are a couple of games on here where I wouldn't be shocked if they win. I also have them losing that game to the Cardinals. Would not surprise me if they beat the Cardinals that week. I have them losing the game to Seattle, and Seattle would not surprise me if they win that game that week. I have them losing to Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh would not surprise me if they found a way to win that game in Pittsburgh. So, those are 4 games that I could think of that they could possibly win that I have them losing. But then I look at the games that I have them winning, and there's some of those that I could absolutely see them losing too. So, again, this is going to be a really tough year for the NFC North. All of their schedules are completely brutal. I think only one team in this division is equipped to handle all of that, though.
Yeah, and as far as a breakout player, you nailed it right on the head on the position. Justin, the quarterback position will have a breakout year this year, for the Chicago Bears, but it's definitely not going to be Justin Fields. No way, no how is it going to be just Justin Fields. Andy Dalton is going to have a MVP caliber season for the Chicago Bears. Will he win MVP? No, but he will have a MVP caliber of a season, leading those Bears to the 7 wins this year. And I feel like if Justin Fields were to start this season, they wouldn't even get 3 or 4 wins this year. So Andy Dalton is definitely
quarterback going to be in the MVP talks with 7 wins?
Because the stats don't lie. When he's thrown for 4,500 yards, 28, 29, 30 touchdowns.
If he's doing that, the Bears are winning more than 7 games.
No, because their defense is going to suck this year. They're like a lot of their
the strength of this team.
A lot of their games are going to be 35-28. Like they're going to be giving up a lot of points this year, unfortunately.
No. All right. Okay. I completely 100% disagree. I watch this team. I know this team like the back of my hand. The defense is the strength of this team.
Until Khalil Mack goes down, then they're done.
Sure, but can you predict an injury? I mean, are you predicting an injury right now? Like,
no, because that would not be good mojo at all.
But that's what I'm saying. So, like, you can't. I mean, could they possibly trade Khalil Mack, as Soup Boss suggests in the chat here? Possibly. I could see them moving him but I don't. There's not a whole lot of blockbuster trades in the NFL at the trade deadline. So that would be one of those blockbuster ones. And I mean, you'd have to get a haul back for a Khalil Mack right now. I mean, I'm talking about at least a 2nd-round pick for Khalil Mack right now. And then, I mean, you'd have to find a team that's willing to give that up at week 8 of the season.
Right.
And I mean, where does he go? I mean, does Aaron Donald need somebody to be on the other side of the line? God, could you imagine Khalil Mack and Aaron Donald on the same damn line?
I would have to veto that like that trade and be like, hey, there's some inner workings here that don't seem right.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, there was talk that the Raiders wanted Khalil Mack back, and there was talks about them, during the offseason. But look, I think, I think your Andy Dalton prediction is just asinine. I mean, if there's going to be a breakout player other than a quarterback, I would say probably Darnell Mooney would have another good season.
Yeah, I do like Darnell Mooney.
A huge year.
I actually got him on one of my fantasy rosters, actually. So just to address a couple comments here before we move on, he says, is anybody else feeling odd giving the prediction for a record totaling 17 games this year? Yes, 100%. Like every time, I think I'm like 7-8 or like 9. What? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it's just and even an odd number, it's so dumb. So, but whatever. All right, so moving on to the next team here, we are going to be breaking down the Detroit Lions. I mean, obviously the Detroit Lions had a struggling season last year. They got a new coach. They got they got a lion on the sideline now. They traded the legend Matthew Stafford to the Rams and picked up a very good quarterback in Jared Goff. So, Mr. Brandon BC Combs, do you have any games circled for the Detroit Lions moving forward this season?
No. That's not how we're doing this one, Buck. This is the Detroit Lions, Betty. You have the floor here. You go first on this one because I've got to soak all of this in because I know that you are high on this team. And when I say high, I mean high. Yeah.
Are we talking like 11 wins high? 11 wins high, because that's exactly where the Detroit Lions are going to be this season, guys. They're going to be 11-6 and leaders of this NFC North for pretty much most of the season. The game that I have circled is this week 2 matchup, which I will be at, is the Monday night game when the Detroit Lions take on the Green Bay Packers. The Detroit Lions are going to go into Lambeau Field and beat them by at least 17 points. And that is going to be the trend of the season. They are going to just keep pounding on teams, pounding on them, and just piling up lots and lots of points, because having that line on the sideline, Combs, is going to bring so much energy, so much atmosphere to the team that it cannot be stopped. And then the other game that I have circled is the Week 3 game as well, when they play the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens come into Ford Field. They're in Detroit. It's a very, very hard game to play, and this is going to be a measuring stick if the Detroit Lions can be a Super Bowl caliber team, which I actually have the Ravens going into Ford Field and beating them. So, crash back down to reality a tad bit, but that Week 2 game is going to be a huge for the Detroit Lions and catapulting them to an 11-6 season this year.
I can't with you. 11 wins.
11.
Look, Buck, look directly into the camera right now. I don't want to see your eyes waver. Look directly into the camera. Name me 2 Detroit Lions wide receivers right now.
Jared Goff and
I said wide receivers.
He's going to throw a lot of tip passes to himself, right?
You can't even name me 2 wide receivers. This team is going to be atrocious. They're going to be fighting for the number 1 draft pick, not the number 1 spot in this division. They are going to be 2-15 this year is where I have the Detroit Lions. I have no games circled on their calendar because none of their games interest me. Their 2 wins are going to be in the division because these divisional games always seem to go. You can never pick a team to sweep another team in this division. Although I did pick the Packers to sweep the Detroit Lions this year. I think they'll split with Chicago and Minnesota, and that'll be their 2 wins. Other than that, they're losing to San Francisco. They're losing to Baltimore. They are losing to the Bengals. They're losing to Philly. They're losing to Pittsburgh. They're losing to Cleveland. They're losing to the Broncos. They're losing to Arizona. I don't, for the life of me, understand how anybody could pick this team to win 11 games in this schedule. Actually, I don't know how anybody can pick this team to win 11 games under any schedule right now. This team is not a good team, and Jared Goff, they got worse at quarterback this season. They got worse than they were last year at quarterback. So there is no chance that this team wins more than 2. I'll tell you what. I'll give you maybe 3. Maybe 3. They might beat Atlanta.
Combs, looking at their schedule right at the top here, they're going to beat the Packers. They'll beat the Bears. They'll beat the Bengals. They'll beat the Eagles. They'll beat the Steelers. They'll beat the Cardinals. They'll beat the Vikings twice. They'll beat Atlanta.
You're just talking out of your butt right now.
Come on. So if I'm talking out of my butt so much here, give me a player that might have a breakout season for the Detroit Lions.
None of them are going to have a breakout season. They're going to be 2-15. If anybody's going to have a good season, maybe DeAndre Swift has a better season than what he had last year because maybe he'll be healthy. So DeAndre Swift, that is it. There is nobody on this team that is worthy of a break. None of them. They're going to be horrible. You know who's going to have a breakout season? The GM, because he's going to get a top 1 or 2 draft pick in the draft in 2022 when we're there in Vegas with one of our listeners.
Yeah. See, and I think TJ Hawkinson is going to have a breakout season. I believe this is his 3rd year going into the league, or second or 3rd year. I cannot remember for sure, but he has kind of been underrated and kind of overshadowed in like his first 2 years in there in Detroit. And Jared Goff is going to need that check down receiver this year, and TJ Hawkinson is going to be it. I think TJ Hawkinson is going to be a fantasy steal this year for all you fantasy buffs here. You can check us out on youtube.com/manhour for $2.99 a member. You can get all those fantasy scoops from Mr. Wyatt Williams and Torrey Anderson. But TJ Hawkinson is going to have a breakout season for the Detroit Lions.
I think Soup Boss is going to come through his computer actually. Over here in the chat, he says, if Andy Dalton is having an MVP caliber season, then Goff will become friggin' Thanos and destroy half the league in a heap of dust. And he says, only breakouts coming to Detroit is a case of crabs from a garbage stripper club they visit after the first win in week 13.
Sheesh. Savage right there. You guys are savage.
He's not wrong, Buck.
He is wrong.
The Detroit Lions are awful.
No, they're not.
2-15.
11-6.
God.
All right. So
Can we put a bet on this? Can we wager this?
sure. What would you like?
I'll tell you what. I won't even stick you to 11 wins.
Okay.
If the Lions are above 500.
So 9 wins or more.
Yeah. I'll do an episode. I'll do an entire show. I will shave my head. I will shave my face. I will shave all of my body hair, and I will do a show completely hairless and shirtless the entire show.
Okay. And what do I have to do?
If you win, or if you lose, then you, my good friend, are going to have to do the same thing. Shave your face, do a show shirtless with just a Detroit Lions hat on. That's what you got to do.
Okay, deal.
And that's, I mean, this is the easiest bet I ever made. I got to figure out, I should have said, I could get your next 5 paychecks.
Cindy would not like that one at all. We'll have to
become a Lions fan instantly.
Can I get a loan, please? All right. So moving on to the next team here in the NFC North Division, we're going to go with the Minnesota Vikings. They are a team that's kind of been up and down, the last couple seasons, and seems to be more down than not. But many people have the Minnesota Vikings as a sleeper team, Combs. Do you have any games circled on the calendar for the Minnesota Vikings that are thinking to be must-see TV?
Yeah, God. Week 1 against the Bengals is going to be a great game. I do have them winning that one. A couple of games that could really change around their season is that Week 4 game against Cleveland, the Week 8 game against Dallas, and probably the Week 10 game against the Chargers. Those, if they can turn those around, I have them losing all of those games. If they can turn those around and turn those into wins, this could be a completely different season for the Minnesota Vikings. This is a team that, again, look, I don't have them over 500. I don't have them as this superior team in the NFC North. I don't have them as a sleeper team. I think right now they are what they are because of Kirk Cousins. I don't think Kirk Cousins is that guy who's going to lead you to, an NFC crown or lead you to anything special. So I have them at 6-11 this year.
Oh, 6-11 is pretty generous to me. But to answer the question first here, I mean, most NFL seasons are broken down into quarters, but now with that 17 game, I don't know where you put the.
Hold on. Wait. 6-11 is generous to you, to a talented Minnesota Vikings team, but the Detroit Lions are winning 11 games.
Yeah, because you said it. You said it. The point there was the quarterback play. You do not trust Kirk Cousins. I trust Jared Goff.
I trust him more than I trust Jared Goff.
Absolutely no, but we can get into that here in about a half hour here on the Man Hour. But I had the first quarter of the season, the first 4 weeks circled for the Minnesota Vikings as must-see TV because just like what you just said there are a few games where they can swing here or there and can make or break their season. I think the first four weeks are going to be the staple of the Minnesota Vikings their whole season. If they can come out of that at a 3-4 or even a 2-4, I think they'll be a 500. Obviously maybe not a 500 team, but an 8-9 to 7-10 team. But I have them actually losing the first 5 games of this, or the first 4 games of the season to the Bengals, Cardinals, Seahawks, and Cleveland Browns. That's kind of a gauntlet of a schedule here, just because they're at Cincinnati, they're at Arizona. Luckily, they got the Seahawks and Browns both at home, but they're still juggernauts of a team. And I actually had the Minnesota Vikings going 3-14 this year. I just don't think after they go 0-4 to start the season, they start to fold on themselves, and Kirk Cousins is in that trade talk, get Kurt out of town. Kirk Cousins to Tampa Bay. Who knows?
I agree with you in the sense that their first 4 weeks are tough. But they're still better than Cincinnati. They are still better at home than Seattle. And so I have them 2-2 in those first 4 games. But then after that, I mean, Detroit and Carolina, they're definitely better than those two teams.
Okay.
Then I have them losing 3 straight to Dallas, Baltimore, the Chargers. Well, actually 5 straight because Green Bay and San Francisco have losses there as well. Then I have them beating Detroit again, and then Pittsburgh, and they're going to lose to Chicago in Chicago. At that point, I think Justin Fields is really going to be hitting his. I mean, it's week 15. I think he's going to have a whole lot of confidence. I think the Bears are going to be better than Minnesota at that point. But I don't see. I don't know. 3-14 I think is really low. I think 6-11, 7-10 is right about where. I mean, this is still a very talented team. Dalvin Cook
You're right.
is a very talented running back. They've got Justin Jefferson. They've got a good wide receiver core. And they've got a really good defense. They got a sleepy good defense in Minnesota. So that's going to hold them in some games that they could win or could lose. But I think 3-14 is, I mean, especially when you have the Detroit Lions at 11-6. I think 3-14 is really low for the Minnesota Vikings.
So here is my thought process on the first 4 weeks of the season. Week number 1, they're traveling to Cincinnati. This is Joe Burrow's first game back. You know, that crowd is going to be hype. Joe Burrow is going to be hype. And there is such thing as faith, you know, like I feel
is
like
he going to be hyped, or is he going to be afraid to take a hit?
I think he is going to be a little bit of, the bright side is he did play the final preseason game, so he's used to having people around him again. But he will definitely be playing timid till that first hit, but then we're going to see Joe Burrow just be the Joe Burrow that we saw toward the, you know, right before he got hurt. So
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I would not be shocked if they lose to Cincinnati week 1.
And then Arizona obviously is their first opening game, you know, with that, you know, all the buzz and hype surrounding them. So I think they're going to play out of their mind as well. The only game that I'm questioning right now is that week 3 game is when Seattle does come to Minneapolis, and you know, historically, teams don't lose their first home game of the season, and that is the Vikings' first home game. But I kind of feel now their egos kind of already bruised. Also, on the flip side of that, we saw Justin Jefferson have a crazy, amazing rookie year last year as well. So I think people are going to double him up, and there's going to be other receivers open, such as Adam
Thielen.
Yeah, but like I don't think Adam Thielen is going to live up to that hype that he had a couple years ago. I think he is on the decline now after watching him in the preseason. He just doesn't quite have that perk like he used to. Does that make sense? Kind of like that little spring in his step. So that is my biggest concern with them is the passing game. I don't have any question that Dalvin Cook is going to get his money. He is going to get his 100 yards a game, 250 yards a game. Like, I think Dalvin Cook is going to eat, but they just can't pass.
I gotta get over to the chat here. Chad Launder, Supos comes in and says, Bucks prediction system. Take a huge dump, see what team logo looks like, the doo-doo, then make them his top pick.
Yeah. So let me ask you this final question.
Not wrong.
Let me ask you this final question before we go into the Packers. Any players going to have a breakout season for the Vikings?
Dalvin Cook. Look for Dalvin Cook to have a big year. And I see Supos says that the Vikings are going 10-7. If that happens, Dalvin Cook is going to have a monster year. I already think he's going to have a big year. I think he's going to have a good year. I think he's going to catch a lot of balls out of the backfield. There's going to be a lot of checkdowns to him. And so if they go 10-7, it's such a tough schedule, but if they go 10-7, that'll be a huge reason. I think watch out for Dalvin Cook this season.
Yeah. And obviously if they go 10-7 or even 9-8, I think Adam Thielen has to have a breakout season for them because teams are going to be doubling Justin Jefferson every game. I mean, he'll still get his, 5-6 catches like a game, but Adam Thielen has to take that that basically like that number one workload to be effective for the Minnesota Vikings moving forward there. Sorry. All right, so moving on to the final team of the NFC North are your hated Green Bay Packers, Eric Holmes, because you said you hope the Bears go 2-15 as long as the 2 wins are versus the Packers. They are fine. So do you have any games circled on that schedule?
As always, it's the games versus the Bears, but beyond that, I'm looking at a week 1 versus New Orleans. I think that this one kind of leans New Orleans' way just because it goes to Jacksonville. New Orleans gets to test out that new offense without the home crowd really getting down on them. If they struggle, I don't think that they will. I think Alvin Kamara will be a huge factor in this game. Green Bay struggles against the run. Another game that I have circled will be their week 3 game in San Francisco. This is going to be another tough game for the Green Bay Packers. And so, there are a few that are close games that I have them winning against Washington. That's a game that I could honestly see, going either way. I think Washington's going to be better than some people think that they're going to be this year. That game against Kansas City, week 9, your Kansas City Chiefs. I think the back end of the schedule for the Green Bay Packers is where they really make their bread and butter. I think that they really run the table, after week 10. I think that they lose 1 game out of their last 9 games. So I think that's where they're going to make their bread and butter. I think that, New Orleans beats them week 1, San Francisco beats them week 3. I think the Bears will beat them week 6 because, like I said, I think Justin Fields is going to be rolling at that point. He's coming in week 4. I think the Bears will be a much different team after he comes in. I have them losing to Arizona week 8, losing to Kansas City week 9. So out of that, they are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 heading into week 10. But then they just go nuts. They beat the hell out of Seattle in Green Bay. They go on the road to Minnesota and beat Minnesota. I do have them taking another stumble against LA, and they go into the break at 6-6. But then they come out of the bye week and they beat the Bears, they beat the Ravens, they beat the Browns, they beat the Vikings, they beat Detroit, and they finish the season at 11-6 and win the NFC North.
Yeah, I agree with everything except for winning the NFC North and winning 9 games toward the end of the season, because those are both absolutely false statements coming out of your mouth. So I don't pretty much agree with anything that you say at all, because they will lose to the Detroit Lions week 2 and week 18. I do have them losing to the Bears. I just think the Green Bay Packers are going to kind of stumble this year. I mean, because looking right out the gate here, they play the Saints, they play the Lions, and then they play the 49ers. I actually had them starting 0-3 this year, and their first win coming against the Pittsburgh Steelers team, which people are kind of riding this Pittsburgh Steelers train, but I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be kind of overhyped this year, as we will break down the North later here in the show. But the game that I have circled is week 7 here, is when the Washington football team, or the Red Tails, or the Red Hawks, come into town. And it is not because of what the Packers are going to do. I'm kind of curious of what the Washington football team is going to do. Are they for real? And if they are for real, can the Green Bay Packers actually compete with them? Because, I feel like this is a potential playoff matchup if the Green Bay Packers could make the playoffs. I don't know if they are yet, but I have them going 9-8 on the season. And the biggest game circled is that week 18 game when they travel to Detroit, which they lose that game, which would probably ultimately knock them out of the playoffs. But that week 18 game is huge as well.
It's funny that you come at me and you say, well, I agree with everything except for they're not going to win the last 9 games. That's absolutely false. You know what else is absolutely false? You have the Lions at 11 wins. You don't get to talk about anybody talking anything that's false when you have the Lions at 11 wins.
Yeah. We will see when you come shaved here come January time.
Okay, and when they're 0-11, you might as well just start trimming down.
So who is going to have a breakout season for the Green Bay Packers?
God, look, Aaron Rodgers is on a mission, and much like I always say that I don't bet against Tom Brady, Remember when Tom Brady had, they suspended him for 4 games because of the Deflategate thing, and then he came out and basically went, I think it was 12-1 or something like that to finish off the season, and ended up winning the Super Bowl. And yeah, so that's what Aaron Rodgers is going to do to the Green Bay Packers here. Aaron Rodgers wants out of Green Bay. He did everything he could to get out of Green Bay. They wouldn't budge. They wouldn't let him go. He's like, fine, you know what? I'm going to come back. I'm going to play. Him and Devontae Adams said one last ride. They did the whole Chicago Bulls thing. Aaron Rodgers is going to come out. He is going to win the Super Bowl with the Green Bay Packers. Wow. And then when they go to hand him the trophy on the stage, he's going to walk off the stage and he's going to flip him the bird.
Wow.
Because that's what Aaron Rodgers is going to. He is going to have a monster season this year. Him, Devontae Adams, any of those Green Bay Packer wide receivers, even look for Randall Cobb to maybe have a really good comeback player of the year type season with Aaron Rodgers. This team is going to be the real deal in the NFC North. This team is going to be the real deal in the NFC. They could even be the Super Bowl representative. I guess you guys will have to wait to find out what I think about that.
Yeah, and this is coming from a Bears fan, so I mean, obviously that is big breaking news right there.
I hate saying it, but I just, got to be honest.
All right, guys, so we are going to take a quick little break. On the other side of the break, we're going to open up for some questions, some Q&A, and definitely some comments, because we do have a lot of comments to roll through here and definitely address those. But, guys, we'll be right back here on the Man Hour.
Man Hour Nation brought to you by Brooks Roofing and Siding. Contact them at 812-868-7663 or online at brooksroofingin.com. Brooks Roofing and Siding, protection you need when nature strikes.
And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buckeyes along with Brandon BC Combs tonight. You can find us all on the old Twitter machine at manhour_Buck and, of course, manhour_Combs. And this is the time where we take a deep breath. We let the sweat start, my shirt's soaking wet from all the hot takes I'm spitting out my mouth right now. And Combs needs to calm down his blood pressure because it's like 180 over 60 right now. So definitely needs to calm that down as well. So this is the part of the show where we're going to banter back and forth and basically, guys, address your comments. We do still have Shop Talk coming up here in about 40 minutes here on the Man Hour. So if you do have any questions, feel free to save them toward the end, or we can, obviously address them here as we have time here. So are you ready to address some of these comments here, Mr. Brandon BC Combs? All right, so Suit Boss says Packers go 13-4. That's really not unrealistic in a with like obviously like Aaron Rodgers, but yeah, 100% here. And then Drew also says, as much as I love the Saints, I'm not sure if Jameis can beat Rodgers. The funny thing about that is it is not a quarterback head-to-head battle. It is, yeah. Right. Yeah, and unfortunately, the Green Bay Packers still do have Kevin King, which is Wyatt's best friend, if I might not add. So, yeah, you don't have to worry about that. Javier says best show on the internet. Thank you, Javier, and obviously thank you for all your support out there and whatnot. And then Soup Boss comes out and says Buck is out here acting like he's. Oh, there you go. My bad.
Buck, yeah, I had a great take there,
yeah, you did.
and I'm muted.
I'm sorry. Do you want to go back and try it again?
Man, oh man. Yeah, basically in a nutshell, what I said was the Saints can beat the Green Bay Packers because of what Alvin Kamara can do. Alvin Kamara opening up the game with the run. Not so much Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston's going to have a good game, but it's going to be because Alvin Kamara can run for so many yards. The Green Bay Packers have a tough time stopping the run, and that's how you beat the Green Bay Packers, and that's why I think that the New Orleans Saints can beat them in Week 1. God, Buck.
There you go. Well, it sounded a lot better the second time around in my years. But Soup Boss also comes back at Drew here in the chat, and he says, Drew, not to mention it is not like a quote home game for the New Orleans Saints, but they can't play in New Orleans. I believe he's saying the Packers can't play in New Orleans.
Yeah, the Packers do have a tough time in New Orleans, but this one, it's going to be played in Jacksonville, and
it's Atlanta, isn't it? At the Metrodome?
No,
or not the Metrodome.
I think they're playing in Jacksonville.
I'm so confused now because at first they were in like Arlington, then it was Atlanta, now it's Jacksonville. Where's it playing?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Jacksonville, but they're either way. I mean, I think that's what benefits New Orleans as well is that they don't, Jameis Winston starting out in that new offense. If he happens to struggle, if he throws a pick in the first series, he doesn't have to deal with the home groans. You know what I mean? Like the boos or the
ain'ts.
Whatever. So that's where he helped. But I really do. I think that Alvin Kamara has a huge role in this game, and Alvin Kamara is the reason why they can win that game.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of how the Saints can beat the Packers. Oh, Taysom Hill. That's how the Saints can beat the Packers if Taysom Hill jumps in the game. Soup Boss also says, Buck can't hold Stephen A's jock in comparison. At least Stephen A would hear a Lions NFC North prediction and just shake his head in shock.
Yikes. I mean,
I'm hand downs better than Stephen A. The reason why Stephen A is so good at his job, because he likes to shout over people. That's all he does, Combsy.
That's kind of what I do too. But I mean, at least I do it with some common sense. Stephen A is just a babbling idiot.
Yeah, and everything's racist now.
Just kidding. I like you, Stephen A.
No, I don't. I hate you. I would take Skip Bayless and Max Kellerman show over Stephen A. any day of the week.
That's horrible.
I would even take Shannon Sharp over
Horrible
Stephen
idea.
A.
Oh my God. I wouldn't take Shannon Sharp in anything other than a freaking boxing match. That's the only time I want to see Shannon Sharp is when him and I are in a boxing ring.
Javier comes out and says, Roger's going out with a gunslinging to make a point. Yeah, that's what Combs said. He is here to make a point this year, right?
Yeah, he's going to have a huge year. Aaron Rodgers is going to, he's probably going to win the MVP again, and they're going to be very good. And again, they could be the NFC representative in the Super Bowl as well. So.
Predicting an NFC championship win. That's a bold statement there, Combsy.
I didn't say that. I said could.
Could be.
I'm not giving away my predictions yet. No spoilers.
A couple more comments here saying, you don't know high blood pressure till you get me on this thing, Buck. Yeah, well, you better get the quick number for 911. All right, so scrolling down here, getting a couple more comments before I head to our next break. And Soup Boss says, no, the Saints aren't playing in New Orleans because of the hurricane. It's not a real home game for New Orleans. So the Packers shouldn't have any disadvantage, right?
Yeah, I think that, again, just to reiterate, I think that their disadvantage is their run defense and the lack of run defense.
Yeah. One last comment here. It says, Stephen A. can't hear you guys with all the money he's feeling with his ear holes.
Yeah, he's not wrong there.
Yeah, that's very true. It kind of makes me sad a little bit by how much money he makes and can say outlandish things. Did you ever hear what he said about Shohani?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
If you guys, job, though, didn't he?
What?
Kept his job though, didn't he?
He kept his job for now. Well, I mean, I think that made Max Kellerman quit the show, right?
I have no clue. Did Max Kellerman quit the show?
Yeah, he's been kind of kicked off the show a little bit. But all right, guys, that's going to be it for the chill down section of the show here. Hour number 2 of Man Hour is coming up right after this short little break. On hour number 2, where we're going to pick the AFC North picks. Of course, you got the Baltimore Ravens, Cleveland Browns, Steelers, and Bengals. And then we got week 1 of the college football season that's getting ready to wrap up as Louisville and Ole Miss are playing right now. We will talk about what did you love, what did you hate, and of course we got Shop Talk coming up here in 45 minutes at 9:45 East Coast time. Shop Talk is coming up. Obviously, guys, Man Hour is brought to you by Belly Up Sports. So head over to bellyupsports.com and go ahead and check out their blog section. Wayne G does a great job over there, and of course there are many other blogs as well. Anything you guys need over there, Belly Up Sports is the place to be. So guys, we'll be right back here on the Man Hour.
Hour Nation brought to you by Brooks Roofing and Siding. Contact them at 812-868-7663 or online at brooksroofingin.com. Brooks Roofing and Siding. Protection you need when nature strikes.
And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buckheischer along with Brandon BC Combs tonight. If you guys have got any questions, hit us up on the old Twitter machine at manhour_buck and, of course, manhour_combs. And you can also hit up Tori at manhour_Tori on the old Twitter machine if you have any fantasy football questions. Just be sure to either slide into his DMs or giving him a hashtag #ManHourFantasyTalk, and he will be able to get those questions out to you. So, Combs, we have talked the... Yeah. Well, Louisville doesn't have strippers anymore. They don't have funding for all their paid athletes anymore, so they actually have to go out and work and get their own funding. No, sorry. But hey, at least their uniforms are spelled right, Combs, because, you know, here in Indiana, we cannot spell uniforms correctly. Yeah, Indiana, yeah. If you guys have not seen that, Google Indiana football 2020-21 jerseys, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you see it. But Combs, we have talked the NFC North, and now, we've talked the NFC North. Now it's time to slide into the AFC North sides here, as we're going to break down each division here over the next 4 days, and the AFC North comes up, and the Baltimore Ravens are the first ones up that we're going to break down. Obviously, the Ravens won their first playoff game ever with Lamar Jackson last year, and concussions and maybe refs helped the Buffalo Bills beat them in the playoffs. But what games do you have circled for the Ravens moving forward? Go ahead, you're good.
Am I unmuted now? Rookie. So I think that the Ravens are going to have a good season, not a stellar season, but I have them. Games that I'm circling on the schedule are going to be against Kansas City. I think that that's going to be a huge one. I think that's going to be their statement win of the season. I think that they've got a so-so schedule against the rest of, outside of their division. It's not overly tough. It's not extremely easy. But I have them at 11-6 this year. I think games against Indy will be fun to watch. The game against Kansas City will be fun to watch. Their divisional games against Cincy and Cleveland, those will both be fun to watch. So those are the games I'm looking at.
Yeah, I feel like all of the division games for the Ravens this year are going to be kind of must-see TV. Week 2, obviously this is the Ravens Super Bowl 100% because they'll never make it to the Super Bowl, so they have to play like they're playing in a Super Bowl week 2 of the NFL season. But the game that I have circled the most is Week 5 when Indianapolis comes into town. Like, I think this is going to be a measuring point for both teams. Like, where do they actually stand in the NFL and the AFC in general? I actually had the Colts winning this game because I think Carson Wentz is a top 10 quarterback in the league, and the injuries are going to be catching up to the Baltimore Ravens at this point, because obviously J.K. Dobbins tore his ACL, and then the other running back, his name slipped in my mind, just tore his Achilles, and here on Monday they just tried out Le'Veon Bell for the team. So you see that they're
good for the Ravens that their best running back is their quarterback.
True, but sometimes you said it yourself. Sometimes you need to take a load off a guy. A game or two.
I agree with you though. I think they lose. I have them losing Week 5. I have them actually losing in Denver. I have them slipping up in Denver and then losing to Indy before finally getting back on track. So I agree with you on that Indy game.
And Denver's a very tough place to play. I mean, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the altitude, if it's the crowd, for whatever reason, it's a very, very hard place for many teams to play. So I actually have the Ravens going 8-9 this season, definitely taking a few steps back because I think the injury to J.K. Dobbins is really going to affect them more than what is on the surface here. Yes, you can say their best running back is their quarterback, and he's still there, but J.K. Dobbins is a really good player in the end. So with all that being said, Combs, is there a player to look out for that's going to maybe have a breakout season for the Ravens this year?
I don't know if you could really call it a breakout season, but I think Lamar Jackson's going to have another MVP type season. I think Lamar Jackson is the player to watch on Baltimore as always. I do like their tight end there, Mark Andrews. I think that he could have a big season as well. So those would be the two guys that I would say watch out for.
Yeah, and the guy that I'm putting the watch out for thing here that kind of needs a breakout season to kind of really solidify his career as a whole, and that is Sammy Watkins. He didn't do a whole lot in Kansas City. Like I was really excited when the Chiefs picked him up. I'm like, man, we got a true number one receiver. We picked him up from Buffalo. Yeah, he didn't really perform, but it's a big name. I expect him to do good things, and I think Sammy Watkins is going to have that chip on his shoulder this season and say, look at me, you should have never let me go. I'm a top 15 receiver in all of the NFL. So Sammy Watkins is my guy. Any other thoughts?
I like Sammy Watkins. I think that him and Lamar, if they can develop a really good tight chemistry, that this team could really take off. But I have them at 11-6, and again, this could be one of those things where they could end up at 13-4, and it wouldn't surprise me. It could end up at 14-3, and it wouldn't surprise me. There's a lot of games that I have them losing that they could definitely win. There's not really very many games I don't think that I have them winning that they could possibly lose, with the exception of maybe I have them splitting with Cleveland. So it would not surprise me if they're better than 11. So I think 11-6 is the minimum for them.
All right. So the next team up on our schedule here are the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously they went through a lot of great points last season and a lot of low points last season. They were 11-0, and they ended up losing the first round of the playoff games to the Cleveland Browns. So Mr. Brandon B.C. Combs, what games do you have circled on the Pittsburgh Steelers roster this year, or schedule this year?
Not very many. I think this is going to be a down season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think that they're as good as a lot of other people seem to think that they are. I think that Ben Roethlisberger is just hanging on for a little bit too long. And I'm not very high. I don't like the loss of James Conner. This team offensively, I just don't see it. And with the schedule that they have going, it's going to be a tough road for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I could see them winning a few of these games, like against the Bears in Pittsburgh. That'll be a tight-knit game. That'll be probably a really fun game to watch. Games against Cleveland, the games inside their division will be fun to watch. But outside of that, I can't really see much for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have them at 5-12 this year.
5-12. Wow, that is not where I have them. Although I do have them, being overhyped per se, because like last year after going on the 11-0 and obviously losing with the last 4 or 5 games of the season, I think that is going to be a trend this season. I actually have them going 8-9, same as the Ravens this particular season, and that actually puts them, I believe, at third in the division. So spoiler alert moving forward. But the game that I have scheduled is this week 1 matchup when they travel to Buffalo Bills. So, obviously the Buffalo Bills, they are a great team. We saw them, do some work in the playoffs last season. And I believe when we did our way too early predictions, many people had them going 13-4. But I think this week 1 matchup is going to be a testing point for both teams, and I think the Pittsburgh Steelers fall on the short end of that stick, and they're going to quickly realize, hey, Ben Roethlisberger isn't this passing attack receiver quarterback that we thought we still had, and the whole game plan for the Pittsburgh Steelers is going to be adjustment moving forward. So with all that being said, I think Najee Harris is going to have a breakout season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I guess you really can't say a rookie's going to have a breakout season by any means, but he is going to put Rookie of the Year numbers
it has
up.
to be a breakout season, right? Because he's never had.
Yeah, true. So that's kind of hedging, like heading the bet like a tad bit, I guess. But I think Najee Harris has to have a good season if the Pittsburgh Steelers want to make the playoffs at all. Who is your player to watch?
Player to watch obviously is Najee Harris. But to me, in order for them to have a good season, it's got to be Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger has to want to go out on a high note, and has to be able to find out, I look at him the same way I looked at Phillip Rivers last year. I just don't think he's got anything left in the tank. And, look, they're not better than Buffalo. They're not better than the Bengals. They're not better than Green Bay. I'm going by their schedule here. They're not better than Seattle. They're not better than the Browns. They might this year be slightly better than the Bears. They're better than Detroit, obviously, but they're not better than the Chargers. Not better than the Bengals, not better than Baltimore, not better than Minnesota, not better than Tennessee, not better than I don't see it for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year at all. I have them in the division at 1-5 this year. I have them taking one game against Cleveland late in the season because Cleveland doesn't matter to Cleveland at that point. But I don't know. I just don't see it for Pittsburgh this year. I really don't. I'm not high on them at all.
Yeah, and I don't understand why people are so high on them. Just because you guys do realize that Ben Roethlisberger is like 38 years old, and he had a shoulder operation. 2019 I think is when he had it, and many people that is a shoulder a career-ending surgery that he had. I don't know what the surgery was, but they basically said like this is a career-ending surgery for most quarterbacks. So for him to even play 2020 the way he did, and lead them to an 11-0, and then start of the season is obviously great. So you get to understand another year on an aging, repaired shoulder, plus playing in the cold, plus taking those hits because the offensive line isn't very good, and then you have Juju and Chase doing all these TikTok dances and stuff. So outside, the Steelers are just not in a very good place right now.
I don't see it, and I look at the chat right now and I see Javier talking about they need a quarterback, and I agree with that, and Drew agrees with that.
They had Dwayne Haskins.
Soup Boss saying that the Steelers are going to win this division. They're not even going to be close, Soup. I'm sorry. You might be right. I mean, if that happens, we could wager on it if you want to, because that's how confident I am that the Pittsburgh Steelers are not going to be anywhere near the division crown this year. I don't see it. I mean, look, the Cleveland Browns are heads and tails better than the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. Yeah. The Baltimore Ravens are a better team than the Pittsburgh Steelers right now.
Even though the record won't reflect it.
To be honest with you, the Cincinnati Bengals are a better team than the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. So I just don't see it. We could go back and forth on it all day long. Obviously, we're not going to know until the season's over. A lot of people were high on them last year when they were 12-0, and they didn't win a game again after that. So they went from 12-0 to 12-4 and won their division, and then exited in the first round of the playoffs. I think that trend just continues. They're not that good, and Ben Roethlisberger is over the hill. He's hanging on a little bit too long. Like I said, he reminds me a lot of Phillip Rivers heading into last season. I just don't trust him, and he could prove me wrong. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah. So the one thing that the Steelers also have kind of looming over them is that Haskins did make the team this year. So that makes me kind of wonder would Big Ben kind of be looking over his shoulder for the rest of the year? Like, hey, is this young guy
It's
going to
Dwayne
take
Haskins. You're not worried about Dwayne Haskins taking your job?
I mean, I would be, because sometimes
he'll find himself in the strip club to stop to get some wings on his way back from practice and end up with COVID again. Stop it.
Well, sometimes a player just needs a new environment, right? Because
he needed those wings.
Yeah,
Those are the best wings he ever had. It was the wings he was after in the strip club.
All right. So what was the record for the Steelers that you had again?
I have them at 5-12.
Okay, and I had them at 8-9 moving forward. So the final team of the AFC North that we're going to break down here is the Cincinnati Bengals.
We got 2 teams left.
We have 2 teams left.
Yeah, we haven't done the Browns yet.
Okay, well, the Cincinnati Bengals are up next. So Joe Burrow obviously had a horrific knee injury last year. We actually had that clip on our YouTube channel, and it got deleted because we can't have children watch it, apparently. So, Combs, are there any games that you have circled for the Cincinnati Bengals this year that is must-see TV?
Yeah, look, the Bengals are going to be good. Joe Burrow is going to be must-watch TV. Other than their divisional games, I would circle that Week 5 game against the Green Bay Packers. That could be a game I could absolutely see in the Cincinnati Bengals hanging in there, maybe even bringing this game to overtime. That could be a fun one to watch. Burrows versus Rodgers, the future versus the current. And then you look at games like against the New York Jets in Week 8. That's another one. Look, I know a lot of people are like, what do you mean the Jets? Look, I like what's going on in New York. I like Zach Wilson. I like Robert Saleh. I think that team is going to start to change its culture, and I think it started with Robert Saleh and it continued with the draft of Zach Wilson. I think they're going to be a better team, so this could actually be a really fun game to watch in Week 8. So those would be the 2 games, outside of the divisional games, that I would absolutely circle.
Yeah, so the game that I have circled, the biggest game of the season, is a division game, unfortunately, but is that Week 7 game, is when the Bengals go into Baltimore and they play Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. I think this is a statement game for Cincinnati. They are going to go into Baltimore and they are going to beat them, let's say 17-14 as the final score to that game. But I think this is where we see Joe Burrow kind of put the staple on the whole NFL. It's like, hey, don't overlook me. Yeah, you have Herbert. Yeah, you have Trevor and Zach and like all those and Baker and Patty, but don't overlook me. I am here to stay. I am here to rock this division and rock the AFC as a whole. And with that being said, I do have them going 7-10 this year, but simply because they do kind of have a stunner of a schedule. I mean, they obviously do play the Ravens twice. They play the Steelers twice, obviously. But the out of division games is rough. They play the Chiefs, they play the Chargers, they play the 49ers, the Ravens. Heck, they even play a good Green Bay team. So, I mean, that is the only reason why I have them 10 losses on the year, but I do have them going 7-10.
Yeah, I have them at 8-9. I have them right around there. And I see the comments coming through. Nobody believes in this team. Drew doesn't believe in this team. Soup Boss doesn't believe in this team. Soup Boss says it's because they did nothing to improve their old line, so that's they're going to continue to stink.
True.
Look, I like their offensive line. I like Jonah Williams. I like Quentin Spain, Trey Hopkins. Those guys are Pro Bowl type offensive linemen. And I think they're going to get good play out of them. There's been a lot of injuries in Cincinnati, and not only Joe Burrows, Quentin Spain was hurt last year. Jonah Williams. These are guys that I can absolutely see having great years for Cincy. 8-9 is about where I see. If they're a little bit less than that, wouldn't surprise me. If they're more than that, it might surprise me a little bit. But 8-9 is about where I would have them at with their schedule.
Yeah, so learning from our man Luke G at Luke G Field Talks, which we frequent on that show quite a bit there, I would say the ceiling for the Bengals this year is your 8 Combs, is that 8 win mark, but I think the basement is probably 5 wins for them. It's still an improvement from last year. like obviously it's just the point is like you can never really predict these division games because they are so tough to pick just because
See, I have them winning games like outside of the division. Like I have them beating the Bears, I have them beating the Jaguars, I have them beating the Lions, I have them beating the Jets. I don't have them beating teams like the Chargers or the Niners or the Ravens or the Chiefs. But I do have them winning them games outside of their division. I have them beating Denver. They're better than Denver. I do have them losing to Las Vegas, which I do think that that's a game they could possibly win.
Yeah.
But those are the games. That's why I think that this team will be better than what people think, is because their out of division schedule, it kind of favors them in a way. They get to play a lot of them younger teams. They get, you're going to see Joe Burrows versus Trevor Lawrence. You're going to see Joe Burrows versus, Andy Dalton in a revenge game. And I think since he wins that game, and I think that Joe Burrows shows why they went away from Andy Dalton and went to Joe Burrows. And I think their out of division schedule really favors them this year. So that's why I have them at 8 wins.
And I think a lot of them are at home. Let me flip back to their schedule because like I do know they play the Chiefs at home, they play the Chargers at home, they play the 49ers at home. So
they got the Bears at home, the Jaguars are at home.
So
so there's a lot of winnable games at home. They're going to lose the games they're supposed to lose. They're going to lose to the Chargers. They're going to lose to the Niners. They're going to lose to the Browns and to the Packers.
I actually had them beating the 49ers.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if this team starts the season 3-0 and beats Minnesota, beats Chicago, and beats Pittsburgh to start the season, and maybe even starts out 4-0 and beats Jacksonville in Week 4. Heading into that Green Bay game, they're 4-0. So, like that's not out of the realm of possibility. Would you think that I'm crazy if I say, hey, they beat Minnesota, they beat Chicago, they beat Pittsburgh, and they beat Jacksonville? I can't. I mean, if you think that I'm crazy for saying that,
I'm not.
Then you're not really looking at what's going on in the NFL right now.
So looking at the comments here while you were giving that little speech here, Supa says Pittsburgh beats Cincy. Wager that. Which game are we referring to? Is it at Pittsburgh or at Cincy?
Yeah, are you talking about Week 3 at Pittsburgh? I mean, look, when it comes to wagering, when it comes to bets, right now it's easy for me to say, hey, Cincinnati can absolutely win Week 3. But after I watch them play the first 2 weeks, and I watch how they're playing, then I can say, hey, lad, this is how much money I would put on this, or this is what I'd be willing to bet on that. It's always fun in games to say, hey, I got the team like with the Lions. Hey, let's put a wager on that because there's no way,
He said the whole season record.
Yeah. That game in Week 3 against Pittsburgh, it's a game I could see them winning. It's a game I could see them losing right now. We'll see once it comes to it for sure.
All right. So we will put a pin in that conversation and come back to it here in a few weeks. So the final team of the AFC North here are the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, they upset. Would you really call it an upset of them beating the Pittsburgh Steelers in the playoff game last year? But either way, they beat Pittsburgh for the first time forever at home in a playoff game, and people have high hopes for the Cleveland Browns. I'm talking like Super Bowl and AFC Championship game, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, Mr. Brandon BC Combs at @manhour_Combs, the old Twitter machine. What game you got circled for the Browns?
Week 1, baby, against your Kansas City Chiefs. I think that this vaults them. Look, crazy things happen in Week 1. Nobody expects the Kansas City Chiefs to lose in Week 1. Nobody expects the Kansas City Chiefs to start out the season 0-2 when they play, Cleveland and Baltimore. However, I've got Cleveland winning this game. I've got Cleveland starting the season 5-0.
Wow.
I've got Cleveland winning this division at 12-5. I think the Cleveland Browns are for real. I think the Cleveland Browns are that good. I'm a believer in Baker Mayfield. He showed me last year, finally, he stepped over the hump. And after having a good game, he was able to follow it up and have another good game. And those are the things that you'd been looking from Baker Mayfield.
Right.
I think that this team is very, very good. If they can get Odell Beckham back on track, then this team is even more dangerous than they were last year. I've got them at 12-5. I've got them winning this division, and I've got them in a stunner in Week 1, upsetting Kansas City in Kansas City, and then just going on a run for the first 5 weeks. I do have them stumbling a little bit in Week 6 against Arizona. And they'll lose a couple more games that they probably could win. I think they're all going to be close games. But so I count it. I have them 12-5.
Yeah, so let me go ahead and hedge that I am a Kansas City Chiefs fan. And so when I say this, don't be shocked by it. But I think it is better for the Kansas City Chiefs to start the season 0-2 than 2-0. So, but we will talk about the Kansas City Chiefs moving forward.
Your boy Patty Mahomes says the only record he's interested in is 17-0.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. But the games that I have circled for the Cleveland Browns is when they play the Baltimore Ravens. So I have both of those games circled just because the Ravens have kind of quote ran that division since Lamar Jackson has been in the league. But I think this year we kind of maybe see a patching of the torch. So I had that the week 12 and the week 14 game circled, a big circle, because the Ravens and Browns basically play a back-to-back game. So the Browns have a week 13 bye, but then week 12 they travel to Baltimore, and week 14 they're at home taking on Baltimore. And I think the Ravens beat the Browns a week 12, but I think that week 14 game the Browns flex on the Ravens, and that starts their roll, into the postseason. I actually had them going 10-7, stumbling against the Packers week 16, but I had them winning the last 4 of their last 5 games of the regular season, catapulting them into a possible AFC Championship game.
So what do you have them in as a record?
10-7. Losses to the Chiefs, Chargers, and then the Bengals, Patriots, Lions, Ravens, and Packers.
Wow. Okay. I think right now, look, New England's a wild card for me. New England's going to be interesting. We'll talk about them when we talk about the East. That one's going to be interesting for me. I do have Cleveland winning that game. Man, that's a tough one. Look, I've got them beating Kansas City. Here's the games I have them losing. I have them losing to the Cardinals in week 6. I have them dropping the ball once to Cincinnati in Cincinnati. I have them 3-3 in the division. So I have them splitting their division games, all their divisional games. So I have them losing to Baltimore. I have them losing the game to Pittsburgh. But I have them losing to Green Bay as well. So outside of the division, those are the 2 games I have them losing, is the Arizona and Green Bay. Everything else is in.
Yeah, good.
I look, outside of the division, they play Houston. They're way better than Houston. I have them playing Chicago week 3. I still believe Andy Dalton's going to be the quarterback for the Bears week 3. So I'd take Cleveland 100 times out of 100 in that game. They're better than Minnesota. Chargers is a game that they could possibly drop. I think that they're better right now than the Chargers are. And then I have them beating Denver. They're better than Denver. I have them beating Pittsburgh, splitting with Pittsburgh. I have them beating New England. I think they're better than New England right now. I have them beating the Lions, Vegas. So, their out of division schedule just to me is where it's at for them. And that's why I got them at 12-5 and winning this division.
Yeah. So, and the other game that I kind of have circled is that week 7 game when the Denver Broncos do come to town, because I think the Denver Broncos are going to kind of be that wild card team, much like you think the Patriots are. Because how good are they going to be with Teddy Bridgewater? Because many people think that the Denver Broncos they built this team to basically plug and play the quarterback type of system since Peyton has been there. And they think Teddy Bridgewater is the guy moving forward. So I would be curious of how good or how bad the Denver Broncos look in that week 7 game versus the Browns. So, Combs, give me a player that's going to have a breakout season for the Cleveland Browns.
God, it's hard for me to just take one player for this team, because I think that this team is I think it's one of those that is just a complete team. It's going to be a complete team effort. But if you're gonna give me one, I mean, look, Nick Chubb is going to have a huge year. I think having him and Kareem Hunt, I think both of those guys are going to have big years. Donovan People-Jones is a very nice wide receiver. He had a pretty good season last year. You could look for him to have a really good season this year. So, those would be the guys that I would look out for.
Yeah, sorry, I had myself on mute. I was sneezing up a storm all over here. I do like your Nick Chubb. I like your Peoples-Jones as well. But I'm going to go with a backup running back, my man Kareem Hunt from the Kansas City Chiefs, because him and Nick Chubb really developed that 1-2 punch last year, and I think Kareem Hunt is going to carry it over this year and kind of become the man in Cleveland. Like, I think he is going to be a fantasy must-have. Tori always talks about handcuffs, but I think Kareem Hunt is a guy that might be my first running back that I draft past the 5th round, because I think he is going to have a great season. And on top of that,
I think I've got him in 8 out of my 11 leagues right now.
Yeah, I mean, because he is kind of that scoring back, right? I mean, they'll give him 10 yards in and just go.
Yeah.
But the one red flag that concerns me is we've seen Baker have great games. I believe it was that Monday night game versus the Steelers last year when we sat here on the Man Hour. I believe it was just you and me, and we said we saw Baker grow in front of our eyes. And if Baker is that quarterback still from that Monday night game, he will have an MVP caliber season. But I think he is going to digress a little bit, and they're going to really rely on the running game, and that's where Kareem Hunt will come into play.
Yeah. Look, I think that this is a team that is really built to function together. I think that each team is going to complement each other. I think Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt having big years is also going to open the door for Baker to have a big year, which is going to open the door for Peoples-Jones to have a great year. And ultimately, because they're able to sustain drives and because they're able to put points on the board, that's going to enable the defense to have a great year. This team, this Cleveland Browns, I'm excited for Cleveland, man. I really am. This fan base, out of all the NFL fan bases, I really truly believe deserves a winner is the Cleveland Browns fan base, because they've been through hell.
They're always there too. The stands are always packed.
Yeah, and I'm a big believer in what Cleveland's doing. And out of all the teams in the NFL, I really believe that they are a complete team. The only other team that I could possibly say that about is going to be the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
So they are one of those where I just don't want to pick one player, because I really think that they all have to have solid years in order to make them all have amazing years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're 100% correct. And I mean, obviously success breeds success, right? So if one person is successful, the other people are going to be successful. But we are definitely up against the break home, so we are going to have to cut out the final segment of the show and jump directly over to Shop Talk, guys. So if you guys got any questions or comments or concerns, let us know in the chat, and we will bring them up and we'll discuss them here right after the break on the Man Hour. We'll be right back, guys. And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buckhouse along with Brandon BC Combs. And if you missed any part of the show whatsoever, you can always check out the replays on Belly Up Sports, Unhinged Radio, 313 The Flash, UK Finest Sports Talk, and of course Big X Sports Radio 96.1 here in Jeffersonville, Indiana, all Monday through Friday throughout the day. If you guys would head over to our Facebook page, we'll post all the times that they're airing on those particular stations. You can also find us on the old Twitter machine at manhour_buck and of course manhour_combs. And you can follow the show at man_hour_radio. A lot of underscores there, Combs. So underscore. What's the score of that Louisville game right now for all of our Louisville fans that are while watching?
It's well, for all the Louisville fans that are watching, you might want to turn it off right now. But it's 23-0 Ole Miss. Louisville is not looking very, very good right now.
They suck.
It's tough.
Sorry.
We need to do a welfare check on our boy Wyatt.
Yeah.
Wasn't he supposed to join us for a little bit tonight? Last I heard, he was supposed to come on for like an hour.
He had like a 12-page paper that was due Monday, or due Tuesday.
Monday.
I meant Tuesday. So I'm not for sure.
12 pages, please. Come on, I can write that in my sleep.
Yeah.
Come on, Wyatt.
I mean, if you just do the speech to text, half of my page would be stuttering words. So.
Yeah, it'd be all the same letter.
It'd be perfect.
Yeah,
so we do got to give a big shout out to Javier as he dropped a $4.99 super chat. We definitely appreciate that, Javier, and that'll be put to good use here on the Man Hour. So we definitely are ever trying to grow things here. So if you guys haven't noticed, we have a new visually as appealing, whatever the word is, aspects here. We're trying to bring interaction, and we do got the behind the scenes thing as well, which that is great for us to interact during the break, and you guys can jump in there if you guys are a member over there. But Combs, you got YouTube pulled up, buddy?
I do.
You want to address some of the comments that are rolling through there here on Shop Talk Time?
Yeah. Let's see here. Javier says, I told you guys this offseason, Browns will shock the world this year. I love the quarterback, the Miami Hurricane players that got around him. I don't know about shocking the world because I think a lot of people that they're kind of the favorite right now. A lot of people love the Cleveland Browns, and I don't blame them. I love the Cleveland Browns. I love what they're doing. I like Baker. And again, if they can get OBJ to have an OBJ, early OBJ type season, then they're going to be even more dangerous. So I really look out for the Cleveland Browns this year. I really do. Like the Cleveland Browns. And
I think last year was their shocking of the world season. Now they are the hunted now, because the hunters or the hunters can only be the hunters for so long before they come the hunted. And definitely upsetting the Pittsburgh Steelers in the playoff game last year made them the hunted in the division. And sometimes teams fold when they become the hunted. So we will see, how they go.
Yeah, for sure. And then I see Drew says Cleveland always gets crap into the stick, yet they have one of the most awesome fan bases in the league. I absolutely 110% agree with that. We were just talking about that before the break.
Yeah.
Javier Gonzalez says, damn, Clemson, I lost $500. I'll get it back, though. Poor guy.
Combs, there is like 2 stadiums, maybe 3 stadiums that I would love to go to, just as like a fan going to that stadium, not necessarily rooting for one team or the other, and that is the old Oakland Raiders stadium. Like I want to be in that black hole. I want to just be in that ecstasy driven acid doing stuff hole right there. Like I would love to experience that 100%. And then Cleveland Browns, that dog pound, they are always just, barking and wearing the dog mask and etc. And then I would love to sit next to the fireman at the Jets stadium. I want to drink in what he is drinking every time that he is rooting for the 0-16 Jets.
Jets, Jets.
Yeah.
And Chad Lauder comes in with a $5 super chat.
Hell yeah, appreciate that.
Boss, what is going on? His $5 super chat says the Lions are ass.
Yeah, well, we will see come week 10 of the NFL season how trash they are or not.
Oh man.
So
it is time for Shop Talk, guys. If you guys want to talk about anything, let us know in the comments. Dude, before we get to some of that stuff, though, I've got all weekend long. I've been watching college football. I have, and it has not disappointed. The fans back in the stands for college football is absolutely one of the coolest things, dude. I was watching Penn State and Wisconsin, which was a great game all the way through, by the way. And the Wisconsin fans were going, I mean, they were just insane. It was so much fun to watch, and that's what I love about college football is the atmosphere at every college football game is amazing. And you never know what type of game you're going to get, but when they're really good games, I mean, it's just that much more fun. I mean, they were doing they did some sort of song, and you'd see all the fans, and they were going back and forth, and then all of a sudden, Jump Around came on, and all the fans at the whole stadium bouncing up and down at the same time. All of a sudden, they pan into the announcers. The announcers are getting into it. They had the sideline reporter. She's out there getting into it with the crowd. I mean, dude, I love college sports, but just to have the fans back at college events, it was so much fun this weekend. I had a lot of fun watching all sorts of different college football games. Notre Dame made me have a heart attack last night up against Florida State. That was another amazing story. The kid from Florida State, coming back after, he was quarterback for UCF, had the same knee injury basically as Alex Smith, and came back after 2.5 years. His mom's in the stand. She's bawling every snap he takes, leaves them back from an 18-point deficit in the fourth quarter. I mean, just, you can't write a better script than that. Yeah. But Notre Dame ultimately wins. Florida State misses a field goal in overtime. Notre Dame comes back down, kicks a field goal in overtime, wins the game. And then, my boy Brian come out with the old statement. I'm a big fan of execution, and after blowing that lead, maybe we should execute all of our players. I knew that was going to catch him some flack. I do like his response in the post-game press conference, though, when they asked him about it. He goes, "It was a joke. Did you guys actually take that seriously? What are you, stupid?"
Yeah.
And it's true. It was a joke. I knew it was a joke. I thought it was funny. I cracked up, but as soon as he said it, I was like, "Oh God, he might end up getting fired over this." I mean, it really, and that's it. Really, he could end up getting fired over this. And
let's hope that doesn't happen, though.
It is what it is. But that, not to take away from college football this weekend was just absolutely amazing to watch. So I wanted to get that in before we got off the show.
Yeah. So there are a couple things that kind of concern me going into the college football season, just because the reason why we like college football so much is because they are literally playing for the love of the game. They're playing for free. They were paying to get to that next NFL stance, and be making the big money. And then now that they are making some of them aren't even in college yet, and they're making $1.6 million bucks. But that's besides the point. But it goes to show me that when you really love the game of football, the passion is still there. So I don't understand what people were so worried about, college football not being college football anymore. I didn't get to watch as many games as like you did, Collins, just because I was doing some home improvement stuff and my family was in town. But the games that I did get to watch, you are exactly right. I mean, the crowds were amazing. The players were amazing. It was great to see.
It's funny you say that, because I was doing some stuff within the house. So going on the three floors of the house, up in the upstairs, I had the game on. So then in the living room, I put the game on, and in the basement, I put the game on. So no matter which, as I was running back and forth, I was able to watch the game in every room that I was in. So I was fortunate for that. But that you're absolutely right. But look, sports brings us together. Look, what I see in these stands when I watch like the Wisconsin game, where they're all jumping, everybody's going crazy. I see Republicans standing next to Democrats, cops standing next to black kids. I see, different races standing next to different, and nobody cares about any of that crap. Right. Because for 2.5 to 3 hours, all they care about is their sports teams, and that their sports teams are doing good, and they're all cheering with one another. I absolutely love it. Sports brings us together, man. That's why I love sports so much.
Yeah, and I cannot wait till packed stadiums in NFL Week 1. If it was if college football was any indication what we're going to see for the NFL season, I'm getting goosebumps now just thinking about it, Combs.
We've got 3 more wake ups until it's the start of the NFL season.
We got 3 more wake ups. Exactly. So Combs, send us out.
Man Hour Nation, rise up.